know I love music.
Hey.
Something hot makes me want to move. It makes me want to have fun. But it's something about this joint right
See everybody bouncing.
This joint right here.
We got Northern Virginia. We got Nashville. We got Greensboro. This is like the song though when you're having a bad day.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah. And she sings from her soul, you know. You just feel every word.
You
Amazing.
feel it. You definitely feel it.
I'm pretty sure what's the 411 or whatever it was. No, Share My World was the one that probably got a lot of us through a lot of stuff. Share My World was definitely the therapy CD.
It was, and we were in high school. Most of us were in high school during that time, so for us to be able to connect to that album, like, what do we know about this?
Yeah, you know, we always feel that way until we become adults and real life happens, and we actually go through breakups, go through divorces, stuff like that. Then we're like, what were we tripping about, like in high school, like?
Right. So
wait till real life comes.
So welcome to our coffee and chat, our HBCU coffee and chat. I'm super excited because we have two TSU graduates, Jasmine and Mr. Brown, and we have a Hampton University graduate, and then we have an A&T graduate.
Aggie Pride. Aggie Pride.
So I wanted to start off with asking you all to share a little bit about yourselves. So we'll start with Dr. Wilson.
Wow, me first? Okay. Well, I am from Raleigh, NC originally. Came to Greensboro almost about 18 years ago, almost now, for undergrad. Went to undergrad at UNCG, University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Then I matriculated to A&T to receive my master's in counseling. Then I became a school counselor for about 6 years. Then I started my doctoral program, graduated in 2018 with my doctoral degree in leadership studies and adult education. And now I'm the supervisor of high school counseling for Guilford County Schools. And then also I'm a co-owner of a business called Transcend Resource Solutions, LLC, where we are trying to eradicate mental health and educational barriers for our marginalized communities here in Greensboro, Charlotte, and Raleigh area. That's a little tidbit about me.
That's really powerful. Keisha, would you go next?
Who?
You, Kia.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yes, my name is Kia Wilson. I am a Army brat, so I've lived all over, but Newport News and Hampton is home. Let's see, I graduated from Hampton University in 2004 with my undergrad degree in pre-law, and then I went on and got my graduate degree from Hampton in mental health counseling. I am still in the process of matriculating through my doctoral program. Yeah, I call myself taking a break for some self-care. And that was like a couple of years ago. It coincided with the time where I moved to Northern Virginia. I moved to Northern Virginia about 2 to 3 years ago. And I started a practice. So I am the owner and CEO of Phoenix Rising Counseling and Consulting, where we provide individual group, family counseling, DBT groups, as well as other support groups, and as well as supervision for residents. So that's me. I'm glad to be here.
Dope.
Thank you. Congrats. Y'all are just amazing. Mr. Brown?
Hello, and thank you for having me, Ms. Vargas. I was raised in Atlanta. I got my undergraduate in sociology. I did child protective services, foster care, and adoptions. And then I moved to Tennessee in 2008, where I went to TSU and got my master's in social work and began to work in the prison system for about 5 years doing mental health therapy there. And from there, I started working at community health systems where I do mental health evaluations for patients who come into the emergency room with a crisis, and determine if they need to come inpatient or they're safe to be discharged home. And I started my private practice 2 years ago, called Talk with Kelvin, and which I provide individual therapy for, um, mostly for our population. So that's me.
Something that I know that's really interesting, Mr. Brown, about your practice is where you're located.
Yes, yes, that's interesting. Because I wanted to my thought process. I wanted to be in the community, and um, I knew that the barbershop and the hair salons are, from what my observation, are the original therapists.
Mhm.
So my office
Correct.
is actually inside a salon and barbershop.
That's
Oh, that's
dope.
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
Look at you. Like that's not,
Innovative.
I never even thought about that.
Innovative.
Thank you.
Oh, so dope. Jasmine, could you share?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Ms. Vargas. I'm happy to be here. Honored to be here. My name is Jasmine, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, originally. I graduated from Tennessee State University with a Bachelor of Psychology. And then after that, I ventured to Chicago, Illinois, where I received my Master of Counseling Psychology from the Adler School of Professional Psychology. And I love the field of psychology, but I'm also an artist. So I wanted to explore and expand a bit. And so I traveled to Brazil after finishing grad school, and I studied voice therapy, and I also studied alternatives for healthcare, natural alternatives for healthcare. And now I'm back home. I came back to my roots. And I'm a Reiki specialist, a body worker. I'm also a doula now, and I do provide counseling services, and I teach dance as well. I'm a dance instructor.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Versatile.
Y'all are just so impressive. So impressive. So my next question for you all is 2020 was a hard year for us. Um, really hard. 2021 is still hard. So what does it mean to be a therapist in 2021? What does it mean to be a therapist in 2021? And who wants to take it first?
Well, I'll go. I say it. It means that you have to be adaptable. 2020 has shown us that. Me personally, I still have my office, but I've transitioned to um, telehealth, and
Mhm.
so there's advantages and disadvantages. However, also in relation to the question, it means that we're sought after more than in the past
Mhm.
because people are now getting over the stigma of mental health, and they see that they need it. So that's what I would say is being available, even though we have to take care of ourselves, but there are people that need us. So I say just being available.
And I want to add also being eclectic now. We're living in a new world. We're living
Mhm.
in of technology, so the approach I think has changed a bit. The counseling approach is different. And so, like you were saying, Mr. Brown, meeting people where they are, being adaptable,
Mhm.
being current. I'm learning how to,
Mhm.
I'm getting older, y'all. So I'm like, I don't know how to do this. How should I work technology, right?
Yeah.
But being
Uh-huh.
current and doing research and learning more about where people are now in this new world. I know for me, when I provide counseling services, implementing spiritual and physical principles as well are super imperative.
And add to that too. I think it's been a lot of trauma that we've experienced over this past year. And I think because we've been inundated with the media and we hadn't
Yeah.
been able to, um, for a while, we weren't able to leave our homes and get away from it. So we were constantly watching the news, constantly
Mhm.
share, resharing things on IG, Facebook, and things of nature. So this 2021, as Mr. Brown has stated, I think a lot of people have realized, especially in our marginalized communities, that there is a need for mental health care. But it's just that thing of that awareness and those resources. Where are they? Because previously it's been, seen that you might be weak if you get mental health care, especially in the Black community. Or they'll say, pray about it, go to church. I mean, you know, that's always been our go-to, which, you know, I believe in the chair and I believe in God too. But I mean, so both can be of service when it concerns your mental health. But I think it goes back to what my colleagues have previously said. I mean, I think being available and aware and being able to adapt and be innovative, like Mr. Brown, that's awesome that y'all are actually in a that's awesome. Like those type of things are what's needed in the 2021 and on as far as with mental health.
And to piggyback off of that, for me, I think this time period has just really been about self-care. I think even more so for the clinicians, understanding, I know for me, I've reached out to my own personal therapist just in order just to make sure that I'm checking in and I am, you know, still in a very healthy space and I have somewhere that I can go to kind of let some of this pressure off. And I think that that's been very important, just making sure that through this all that we're filling our own cup, because of course, you know, how can we continue to pour out to people and we're depleted ourselves? So that's been the takeaway for me as someone that's juggling, you know, motherhood, virtual school, you know, practice, a full-time job, and also, you know, trying to really be present for our clients. It's been tough. And you know, I've had to do self-reflection and reorganize things so that I can be my best, so that, you know, my clients can get the best out of me as well. So
going back to something that Dr. Wilson said about as Black people, as African Americans, however we identify ourselves, we as a collective, we kind of don't really understand the need for mental health, for therapy. Again, we look towards the church. How do you encourage our family members, our friends, our community, those that look like us? How do you encourage them to seek assistance?
I believe in transparency. For me, I have no problem telling my story about, you know, what happened to me and the reason why I switched from being on the track to being a lawyer to now being a therapist. It was not anything that just was happenstance. It was very intentional. And I think that that's a part of it, being very vulnerable with your client. Well, not being vulnerable with your client per se, but being transparent with people around you so that they can know that even though you're a therapist, we're still human and we still have challenges, we still have things to overcome. And for me, I think that that's helped a lot with breaking the stigma. I'm seeing a lot of minorities really starting to reach out, seeking counseling, all of that. And it makes me definitely hopeful for the future and kind of what it looks like as far as addressing mental health in marginalized communities.
Before anyone else goes, I want to kind of ask you another question. You know, what's interesting is insurance-wise, many people that are working full-time jobs, they have insurance, but they don't even understand how to use their insurance for mental health assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I'm learning too. Like, well, you have the insurance, and oftentimes you can even get a certain amount of services for free, you know, under your insurance, but many people don't teach them about that. So that's just something I wanted to share too. So.
Yes, and also with the EAP program, which is a lot of times even separate from your insurance. With the EAP program, you can just like Ms. Vargas was saying, you can most companies will offer that, and people don't realize and tap into that resource. So that's a great point.
Agree.
And I was going to say to piggyback off of what we were discussing, I think too, making sure or encouraging your client to create a co-creative healing environment is really important. What I like to do is be very clear about what it is that I do and what it is that I can offer. And then I sit down with my clients and I say, now let's create the blueprint for what it is that you want from this experience. You know, it makes a big difference, especially when we're working with the African American population, because sometimes we enter into spaces where our voices are just not heard or respected. And so I think Yeah, that has a lot to do with the stigma, and understandable, you know. I think that we have a lot of trust issues, understandably so.
Correct.
Very much so.
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct.
You know, sharing your business with people, that's taboo in our community. You don't share
Yeah.
your business with people. You
Mhm.
keep what happens in your house.
Correct.
Even if
Exactly.
it destroys you, you keep what happens in your house, because if you let it out, that's not good at all.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Anyone else want to tackle that question?
Well, I want to piggyback on that, and a lot of times, definitely before, during the stigma time, and also now, people would vent to others, um, and I would say venting is okay if the other person consents to said venting. A lot of times, uh, people don't really uh, see the need for therapy because they're venting. However, with is it's better to have someone that's objective, that's away
Mhm.
from your situation, and is trained to not only listen but guide you to just like with Jasmine has said, to where you want to go. What how do you want to improve? If that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So, okay, another question. What does it mean to be a Black therapist in 2021?
I know, right?
Like we need to take like a SAT, LSAT, MCAT question.
I took the deepest breath and I was like,
It's crazy because I just had a conversation about that, like being black and being in the mental health arena during this time. I think now it's like we are seen to be spokespeople for our people, I guess, especially during this time of
mhm,
COVID and civil unrest, etc. They are looking to our profession for help, and they're looking to our profession to be the people that can give solutions. Like, how do we cope during COVID-19? How do we cope during this trauma, the trauma that we've seen? I mean, and it's mainly African Americans that, they're looking towards for that trauma to, be affected by, that trauma. So they're looking, let's get a mental health professional. Like, what do you think? What do you think? What can we do? What can we do? So I think it's been a lot of, you went from not being targeted to now being, out there on the front lines of a lot of things. But still, there's still not that much of awareness of what we do and how we can support. So they're trying to garner understanding, but we're being put out there. And I think, which is good, it's really good for our profession. But I think we need to be ready for that. And we need to be ready with a readily available answer for what they're asking for. Whether it's dealing with school, whether it's dealing with students, whether it's dealing with parents, adults, whomever, we just need to be ready for what we are going to say when we are called upon, I guess.
Mm. Anyone else? Mr. Brown?
I agree 100%. Is as Dr. Wilson pretty much laid out, there's a difference between 2019 and 2021 in terms of being a Black therapist. And also, I would also piggyback on that. We know our population, right? Because we're a part of it. So a lot of times when a client comes to us, they don't have to explain the effects of white supremacy that has on their lives. So that takes the feedback I receive takes a big burden off the stigma of you know uh, coming to seek mental health services. So I welcome it.
Mhm. Jasmine, you do something that's pretty interesting. She practices, am I saying it right? Practices Reiki.
Yes.
Is it teach or practice?
Both. Yeah.
And I know I practiced or I allowed Reiki to be done on me about 12 years ago. And I remember I shared with someone, they're like, oh, that's the devil. So, how are you able to bring in more of us in that particular area?
Yes, absolutely. I serve many people that are Christians, and what I tell them is that it's spiritual. Receiving Reiki it affects the spiritual health and the mental health. It can in very positive ways. It's not religious. It's not affiliated with a specific group or population. It's really connected to what I like to say the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit. Some people say the chi, the prana, the Holy Spirit, all, so many different names, but it's really just a conversation I feel between that person and how they perceive God, who God is to them or what spirit is to them. And so I've been very busy during this time. I think I'm choosing to do this work during a very good time because we're living in a new world. And so people are opening their minds up to different paths of receiving healing. There's so much information out there now because of technology. And so I think it's easier for me to do this work now. Now, if I would have tried to do this work maybe 5 or 10 years ago, things might be different. But again, because of the access that we have to information, I don't have any issues.
So last year around this time, we watched the news and we saw the death of George Floyd. We just, saw the trial. We saw the outcome of everything. I didn't watch it, but last year I was so fixated on the TV. My heart hurt. How do we
Yeah.
prepare for the anniversary of his death, which is coming up in some days? How
Yeah.
do we prepare for that? Because that's another that's a scar, that's an open wound that, how are we going to ever close this? Are we going to ever be able to close this? So how do we prepare as mental health experts? How do you suggest we prepare for that? Because for me, I have an 18-year-old Black son. He's about to go to college, and I'm secretly scared for him. Not secretly, I'm very scared for him
Yeah.
because he's in a I'm just scared. So how do we prepare for this?
Well, I would say that's you prepare on an individual level if you know what, just like you said, it was a trauma. If you know reliving that trauma will scar you, just turn the TV off,
Yeah.
but now if you are a person who wants to um, stay out there. I remember the energy this
Yeah.
around this time last year. If it heals you to go out and protest, if it heals you to research on what's going on with legislation, do that. But pay attention to what I call your car engine, and if there's a gas light on, pay attention to it, and address that the best way that works for you so you can remain optimal and productive.
Okay. Okay.
I definitely agree. I think you should do what's best for you. This portion of our lives, self-care is the most important care. And I think I agree with Mr. Brown when he stated about if you can't handle it, turn off the TV. And I think a lot of people are like, well, you're not down with the cause if you do that. No, I'm down with the cause, but I'm down with my cause too. And if I'm going to be productive or I'm going to be able to support the cause, I'm going to have to be able to support my own self-care first. And so I think you do it do what's best for you. If you're a protester and you're out there and you want to get awareness out to people, then do that. If you want to step away for a little bit and just take a break because this whole year has been nothing but trauma, then that's fine too. If you want to make phone calls from your home and celebrate his life by getting legislation changed and things of that nature, then that's fine too. I think it's whatever is best for you and your own self-care and your own well-being to maintain sane. That's what I believe.
Kia, you're muted.
I agree with that. As somebody who specializes in trauma, I think it's very, very individualistic. Your healing process, in your journey, what you need. I think that's very individualistic. So I just piggyback on what, everyone has said before me, that, that it's going to look very different to everybody. But I do think that we need to just be aware, though, because again, with the accessibility that we have to everything is right there. Like if you don't watch TV, you're on Facebook or you're on the phone and things of that nature. So you're just being flooded with so much information, so much trauma. It's almost like you become desensitized a little bit to it. And, of course, that's just the body's way of, preserving itself. But still, we want to make sure that we are just aware of what we're taking in. And again, what kind of residual effect that is leaving us with. Some of us are experiencing vicarious trauma, secondary trauma as a result of all these things. And it's really having a significant impact on our mental health, and just as a people that we just need to be able to keep a pulse on. And if we need to pull away or turn off the TV, put our phone on do not disturb, do whatever it is that you need to do to kind of put a block or shield yourself from that, especially if you know that you have a history of other traumatic events happening to you. These things could be very, very triggering, especially for our population with PTSD and things of that nature. So again, just doing what feels right for you and not feeling like you have to be pressured by society to respond a certain way, to do certain things, to get out there and protest, speak against it, make a Facebook post, make a think piece. You don't have to do all of that, like if somebody else chooses to do that, then that's fine. But if this is something that's triggering for you, then no, what that may look like for you is just cutting all accessibility to that information off and getting into yourself to find what your peace is, journaling, meditating, all of that stuff, But
That's good. That's good. That's something I do. I like to I blog. So blogging that's my therapy. I can't even tell you the last time I watched the news.
Yeah.
So, of course, I see, like you said, I see things scrolling through Facebook, and I'm not really big on other forms, Twitter, but, I kind of limit what I take in. And I've learned that over the years. Jasmine, what about you?
Yeah, I was thinking, so I agree with what everyone said. I'm definitely taking note. But also, I think remembering that we have the light and we have the dark, and we need the light and we need the dark in order to cultivate balance. And so, though what happened to George Floyd was very dark, very ugly, very unjust, there's so much light and healing coming from it now. We still have a lot of work to do. And I think that it's important to feel all of the feels, but I do see the light. And I feel that George Floyd definitely made a sacrifice. The sacrifice was his life, so that we could be awakened and create some powerful shifts. So I try to remember the light, even when I don't see it.
It's always a good with every bad.
Yeah.
It always is. It's hard to see that, but in all reality, it really is. So Epiphany was designed to assist our students. Oftentimes when I would do professional development as a teacher, I noticed that we never had professional development for students. We walk into education, and the reality is without the students, we wouldn't be there. But we don't take the time to help our students. So this is what this platform is for. And so I remember a few years ago, I was in Madison, Florida, and my students in Madison, Florida, every Friday we had a guest speaker from literally all around the world. And so again, that's where this platform came, it came to me. So how can we encourage our students to follow in your footsteps as mental health experts? Because for me, I know I didn't really know. I came from Newport News Public School System in Newport News, Virginia. I graduated in 1999. And I don't remember anyone ever sharing with me careers like yours. Even though I'm a lawyer, it felt like you could only be a lawyer or a doctor to be successful.
Yeah.
Nobody ever told you about all of these other professions. And so when my students would, on Fridays, when they would have my college friends, my law school friends, all these people coming to us on Fridays, they're like, wow, I didn't know that I can do this. So how do we encourage students to follow in your path?
Well, I think the reward, this work is so fulfilling. It's so rewarding. I mean, we have the opportunity to encourage people to know themselves and to empower themselves and to shift generational patterns that are no longer serving them. I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, to hold space and to be a vessel and to observe people as they evolve into their being, it's a gift. It's a gift.
Dr. Wilson? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that, so if you are a person, I'll use myself as an example. I've always been a good natural listener, and also, have a passion for helping people. So originally, I thought, well, what can I do in terms of a major that's gonna merge the two? Because I usually say to anyone who will listen, one of the ways for happiness is doing what you enjoy while also having income. So I would definitely want that student to think about what they would do for free that will also generate income. And also, I would say, go to class. Partying is fine, but still go to class. That's, can't
Go to
emphasize
class.
it enough.
Class, don't skip.
I think in order to bring awareness about our profession on more of a national or level, so that students are aware, you have a lot within the school system. You have CTE courses, you have, so many other courses that they're exposed to. Having a mandatory mental health course could possibly help bring that awareness, and it could also help students out while they are going through what they're going through. And I think it'll bring that awareness to them to know about the profession, but to also know what entails in the profession. So, and how they can be supported throughout their high school journey or middle school journey or elementary school journey, wherever the course may be. And then I just think it's just that awareness piece. If we see there are career fairs going on for high school students, we need to be there. If we have connections to our local school districts, we need to be talking to them about, are y'all doing something that will support all types of careers and advancement past, as Ms. Vargas said, past being a doctor or a lawyer? What else are you speaking about? Challenge legislation. Challenge our school systems. So, I mean, I think we have to advocate for ourselves to be out there on a platform in order to be seen. And then so we can initiate some type of change when it concerns that.
And I think, students also need to see the possibility that you can be extremely successful doing this. Of course, we know that success is subjective and different for everybody. But, number one, as, the other panelists stated, this is really a job that some things can be taught, but this is really a job that you have to have something innate in you that really likes to really connect and help people. You have to have a natural healing spirit, I think. And most people who are successful in this career or enjoy it, we've been told for years, that we've been the person our friends come and talk to, and we're just the people that strangers stop us and they want to tell us their life story. It's just an energy that radiates from you when it's something deep down inside that is your soul's purpose, that I think that you have to have, that no amount of books and college and things of that nature will teach you, because it's that relationship that's going to make you successful as a therapist in your client's eyes. And the interventions and all that are awesome, but it's about that relationship, and you have to be that person. No one can teach you that. So I piggyback on that, and then end by saying as well, increasing the visibility, like Dr. Wilson stated, and showing people that, listen, you can be successful, whatever your success looks like, lucrative, financially, whatever, personal success, by doing this field. It's a lot of therapists out here that are very financially well off, that are successful. They found their niche. They know what it is that they like to do, and they go and they attack it, and then they figure out, how to expand and make it something that's profitable yet rewarding for them. Because we would be lying to say that, who wouldn't want to do something that they love and have passion for and get paid well being able to do it? To me, that's like, yeah, I've reached, utopia pretty much. Anyways, yeah, that's my spill on that. I think that's also very important, the difference between things being taught and things just naturally, you having a gift for these type of things.
Correct.
I wanted to add something. Thank you. Maybe think of what I wanted to say. I think the times have changed. When I was in school, I thought that I would receive a degree and that I had to provide counseling in a certain way, right? Like it had to look a certain way, and I had to utilize a specific theory. Well, times have changed, and I think that we have more liberation now. We can create a counseling style that works for us and attract clients that are connected to our counseling style. So I think that that makes our profession more appealing now. We have a lot of leeway.
It's interesting. I don't know if you all have ever done the colors test. You have blue and gold, and what else is it? It's orange and green.
Green, yeah.
And I remember when I was in law school, I was blue. Before law school, I was blue. After law school, I was blue. And so in terms of career, I should never have gone to law school. I should have been a therapist.
Wow, come on.
Come on over.
Yeah, I know, right?
Much already, but I feel like I do it. I do it in my daily life with my friends. I was listening to what you said. I am that person that my friends come to. I am that person that, okay, well, I have to have it together, because I want to listen to them and provide. So I'm just thinking about that, like, wow, look, I should have been a therapist, but no, I'm going to stay on my path. But okay, so we represent 3 different HBCUs. We have the best HBCU up here, North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. Yes. The rest of y'all, no, I'm just playing. But no, seriously, what did your HBCU teach you?
Nothing.
Really? Well, A&T taught me a lot.
Yes, you. Tennessee State.
I'm gonna get slandered for this.
Let me rephrase the question. How did your HBCU prepare you for where you are right now?
Wow.
It didn't.
Really?
I mean, I'm gonna probably get slandered for this. Also, just because Hampton is just not doing the best right now. But I still love HU all day. But I have to be honest. Both of my experiences at Hampton, undergrad and graduate school, did not prepare me to be able to do this. I mean, aside from giving me the text work and the education piece, of course, but yeah, no, I didn't have that experience. That must be like an Aggie thing, or you got Tennessee people. Yeah.
Aggie Pride is it's a lot, and even TSU. I TSU, and
I know
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I had a couple of TSU students up here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just so proud of them. So, anyone else want to jump on? How did your HBCU prepare you?
I would say, all right, I'm a quick quick little story. So I lived in Murfreesboro when I came to Tennessee in 2008, and what I did was I drove to, of course, enrolled at TSU, and drove to TSU because why I wanted, this may sound crazy to people, but I didn't want to deal with the white politics. I wanted to. So my experience in undergrad at Albany State was it was inclusive, it was a nurturing type of atmosphere. So I wanted to continue that feeling of not necessarily pandering or anything like that, but a more sense of caring. So that's why I made that decision. And with TSU specifically, my internship at Meharry, where we did intensive outpatient co-occurring groups with women who had substance abuse diagnosis and also mental health diagnosis. My cohort will tell you they threw us to the wolves, but that was one of the best experiences because that way we learned how to run groups, how to communicate with someone who's having a crisis. It for me it helped a lot.
Mm. Um, I want to say that I think that it is so important. It is imperative that we support the Africana Studies Department. I enrolled in courses with Dr. Kimbrough, Africana Studies, and it changed my life. It changed my life. She removed the veil from my eyes. And what she did was she gave us tools and she gave us resources so that we could get to know ourselves, learn more about our culture, learn more about our experiences in this country. And she taught me how to love myself. And because she taught me how to love myself, my skin, my shape, my nose, my everything, I take that with me, when I'm doing my work. And so I will definitely say Tennessee State University gave me the confidence that I needed to be a Black woman, a Black professional woman, a Black professional, authentic woman that knows myself. So Africana Studies departments are gifts.
That's how I feel about A&T. I went there for my undergraduate and my first master's. I can name professors from so many different departments that just gave me life. And then when I started teaching at A&T, I taught there for about 8, 9 years. It was the same thing. I got to work with these professors who taught me. So I was able to pay it forward to give back to my students. And almost on a daily basis, I received messages from students saying, "Oh, thank you, Professor." My last name was Davis. "Thank you, Professor Davis. Thank you, Professor Davis." And it's like, it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to receive that type of love. So for me, HBCUs, they've done so. My HBCU it's done a lot for me, and I also taught at Bennett College for Women. I think about that small little college. It was beautiful. It was a great experience. Being able to teach at TSU was a great experience. So, my experiences with HBCUs, I do have some bad things that I could say, which I could say, about PWIs too. But for the most part, such I've had such a great experience with my HBCUs. But Dr. Wilson, if you'll go ahead and share.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when people say that HBCUs aren't diverse because it's so many different African Americans. If we're just talking about that sector of people that come to an HBCU, it's not just one type of African American. So I learned a lot of patience at A&T. I learned a lot of patience at A&T, and I learned that I had a lot of professors that were there that, I thought I knew a lot, and they told me, "Come on now, let's get it together. Like, let's start with the bare minimum, the dry bones. You think you know a lot? Let me tell you what's up." So I appreciate my professors for like working with me and building me up to be the person that I am today when it concerns my profession and in life in general at my HBCU. So that's what I learned.
And I think for me, aside from necessarily not being able to highlight specifically how it's influenced me, but I can appreciate, as someone who is comes from a military background, being able to be with a group of people that look like me, but came from various different backgrounds, things of that nature. Often growing up, of course, before I got to Newport News, I was one of the only people of color anywhere that I was. So I know for me, transitioning to Hampton, it was eye-opening for me, and it was very beautiful to see, okay, these people look like me. And it felt like home, because again, I was used to being the odd man out a lot of places that I was. So for me, I think that helped my ability to now being able to be very skilled, in my opinion, as a multicultural counselor, because not only do I have the background of growing up with different people from different cultures internationally, things of that nature, but then I was able to immerse myself in the African-American experience with Hampton. And that really helped me to be able to learn to navigate the different nuances, I think, that comes along with being a person of color, and how we are able to support each other as a collective. When things are going on, it feels good to kind of be surrounded by people who understand, people who look like you, people who get it. So that's something that I definitely take away from it and appreciate going to an HBCU for. And also just being able to show people that HBCUs can hold their weight against PWIs any day of the week, kind of thing. You can produce scholars. You can produce people that are very successful. Again, whatever success means to you. People are going to have to respect your resume, because it's about the work that you put in. It's not necessarily, I think, where we're getting past those days of where, HBCUs are kind of automatically from PWIs kind of looked down upon, or, given the side eye. I think that we're holding our weight, and we're producing scholars, we're producing professionals that are going out here and being change makers and killing the game in whatever their profession is. And they're proudly wearing their paraphernalia, telling people what school they went to. And we're showing that, hey, not only can we be just as good, a lot of times we're even better than those who matriculated through PWIs for various different reasons. And so you have to respect it one way or the other. You're going to respect it. So I love that, just for HBCUs as a collective, not even just as a Hamptonian. I love it.
I concur.
About cultural awareness more at A&T than I have anywhere else, or on HBCU.
Agreed.
Because I think about my freshman year, Kia and I went to the same high school. We both graduated from Heritage High School. And I look at my community, we all came from pretty much the same environment. There were some people like Kia, she came from a more diverse background, but you had most of us, we were born and raised and lived in Newport News, outside of, visiting relatives elsewhere. That was our place. But when I went to A&T my freshman year, I still remember we had nicknames for people based off of where they were from. We had Barbados, we had Cali, we had the Geechee people, and I know that's bad, but people from Charleston, because they had like the Geechee accent.
Yeah.
I learned so much about us my freshman year, and I'm like, wow, we are pretty doggone dope. And I didn't think about that until now. And as an educator, I'm like, wow, I taught in Florida, and I remember my Florida friends. I've taught in Kentucky. I actually remember a classmate from Indiana, which was right up the street. So, it really taught me what cultural diversity or cultural awareness really is by attending an HBCU. I have one final question for you all, but before I ask this question, I'm going to play another Mary J song, and we have to sing it together. Go ahead, get your singing voices on. But my question is, you can think about this, is what do you do for self-care? And when I think about this song, I'm like, y'all get me when I play it, okay? So we got to sing this together. You ready? You ready?
Yes. Oh, Lord.
No plans. No. And the sound
I feel like crying when I used to listen to this song. So when you go down, what do you do for self-care?
I love it.
That's some heartbreak right there, boy. And I'm young, I'm singing this song and don't have no clue
Right.
what life has in store, right?
Didn't know nothing.
So I think about this song, you know, the whole Mary, every one of her albums. Well, I can't say everyone, but the albums that people joke when she's depressed, they're like the best albums.
Yes.
But what do you do for self-care when you feel like you're going down, when you feel like all your gas tank is empty? What do you do for self-care?
Self-care is something that I am super, super, super passionate about. One of my main theoretical orientations, if we still are doing that, is I love mindfulness. I love Eastern practices. And it was funny when we were discussing kind of Christianity before, because Black people are really having a hard time getting into these Eastern practices. And I'm all like, I'm advocating. And I'm like, no, this doesn't mean you don't love Jesus. You can chant, you can set your intentions, you can meditate. I promise you, Jesus speaks about it. It's okay. So that's my thing. I get up every morning. I have to have a certain amount of time for myself before the kids get up and all of that. That's how I start my day, with a devotion, a meditation, setting my intentions for the day, my positive affirmations. I make sure that, I'm physically now trying to get myself back together, because to be honest, it was rough for me too. I mean, especially again, when you're pouring out to people over the past year during this pandemic, by the time you kind of get done, you're like, wow, I haven't got my hair done in a while, haven't got my nails done. And you just around here, you looking like you're going through. But I think that that's important to model for your clients what that looks like. Like, I'm going to come to you with myself together. I'm going to show you that making yourself a priority is not a bad thing. And I think sometimes it's nothing to it, but just to do it, like, you have to really treat it like a meeting that you can't miss, an appointment you can't miss. Like, I have to be here. This is my thing. This is my massage appointment, my nail appointment, my walk in the evening. Those are things that I do as well, just to kind of help keep myself, from going too much one way, because it is a lot of things that's pulling at us. And I think self-care is the name of the game with everybody, and trying to kind of come out of this hole that we've all been in. So
I agree 100%. And one of the things you said was put that on the calendar, just like you would, a meeting. And so for me, one of my things that I'd like to do, I like to ride my motorcycle. Is peace for me. It is. I use the analogy is like swimming in the earth, right? You feel the elements of whatever surrounds you, and it's just wonderful. And I also like to watch documentaries, anything that that replenishes me.
yeah.
I do.
I like that. Anything that replenishes me. Wow. Jasmine?
Yeah, I think normalizing authenticity has worked wonders for me, and I'm still figuring out what that looks like for me as it relates to different facets of my life. But just having honest conversations with myself about where I am, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, it's so important, because if one is off, if I'm off mentally, if I'm experiencing some dysfunction and discord mentally, then physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm experiencing discord. So having honest conversations, unplugging, I unplug.
Yeah. I need help with that.
I unplug and I turn my music on and I sleep. I rest. I rest. You know, my mom was 37 years old when she died. She had a brain aneurysm at the age of 37, which is really uncommon. I mean, research has revealed that people usually do not experience that or have brain aneurysms until they are in their 50s and 60s. And so she was stressed and overwhelmed and overworked. And so, you know, I think that I was genetically predisposed to being overactive and hyperactive. So I have conversations with my brain.
Oh, that's nothing wrong with that.
Rewiring the brain, you know, because sometimes we're just genetically predisposed to certain habits and to certain behaviors. So again, that authenticity allows me to have conversations with myself. So,
no, I feel you. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I feel the same with my anxiety. Like, you know, I'm predisposed to that. So, you know, I have to really talk to myself like, okay, and I find myself doing my own CBT stuff like, okay, disputing my own negative thoughts. And I'm like, wait a minute now. Okay, is this rooted in like fact or are we, you know, fear? Like what's going on here? And I'm really talking to myself like, okay, you tripping kind of thing. But I slip and I fall. But the thing is I get up. And I think that's the important thing. We all slip, we all fall short, but it's not about how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up. And all you need is just one more time to get back up. And that's it. So, you know, sorry. I don't want to take over. Go ahead, Dr. Wilson.
No, you good. I mean, it's good. It's good conversation. I learned how to say no. Not overextending myself. That is something that is very difficult for me. I'm always the type of person that will say yes. If somebody needs something, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll be there to support. Not doing that is something that is different and new to me. I know my phone is ringing now in my office. No, I'm not gonna answer that. Not doing that is something new, but it also supports it just supports who we are. It just supports who we are. And so therefore, like it's difficult to say no at times, but that's something I learned. I'm a big music head. So I love music. I can listen to music all day long. I sing. I do all types of things with that. So it's something that I really enjoy. So that is how I cope. That is how I do my self-care. I'm just a big music. Music is a big factor of my life. So that really supports me and helps me.
Oh my gosh, it's never enough time for these coffee and chats. We have 2 minutes left, and I just want to open it up. We have one of our guests, Pam. Pam is here every single week. She has not missed a single one. Do you have anything that you want to say, Pam? She's really my co-host.
No, but just thank you all for gifting me this. I'm older than all of you. I'll say that. And I'm a non-traditional student preparing to get my my master's, my MSW. Okay.
All right now.
And I'm almost 60. I'm gonna say that. I'm almost 60. So this has given me a lot of food for thought. And I thank you all. I thank Kiara for gifting me this because apparently I needed it.
So I'm just thankful that you all agreed to be a part of our HBCU coffee and chat. I'm just so thankful. Any final words from anyone?
This is
just
dope.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. What you're doing is amazing.
Dope.
Keep up the good work. All that.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna reach out again to use you all. I'm just so thankful. And Jazz, I tell you, I really will reach back out.
Please do.
So thank
Please
you
do.
so much.